Hello, good evening, and welcome to First Center of Religious Science. This is our Creative Living series, and we do this class every Wednesday at 7 p.m. And it's here at the center and also on Zoom. And it's a very beautiful day here at the center, and we are happy to have you all join us for this class. I would start with an affirmative treatment. The one eternal principle of life is all there is. There is God and there is nothing else, for all is God. It is absolute good, absolute harmony, absolute beauty, absolute joy, and this great one celebrates life by means of me. I am a center of divine love from which all originates. In this recognition of my divine selfhood, I realize that there is nothing to fear. In this spiritual awareness, I am empowered in consciousness to recognize this truth. The divine nature surrounds me, enfolds me, and supports me moment by moment. I can never escape the divine embrace. I express the love of God, and it returns to me as a joyous action in my world, and I give thanks, and so it is. And so it is. Thank you so much, and welcome everyone to First Center of Religious Science. We are at 204 West 84th Street, and we are a welcoming spiritual community, and we are here to transform lives for empowered living. And we do a number of programs, classes here at the center and also on Zoom. Today is our, of course, Creative Living series, and we do this every Wednesday at 7 p.m. And we will, over time, we've been inviting a number of speakers, facilitators to teach us different things that would help us with our day-to-day living. And tomorrow, Thursday, is our Louise self-healing class. We've been doing this class for a number of years now, and we gather each time to learn and to teach ourselves the principles of this teaching, how to go within and pull the power that we have and do this work ourselves, because we know we all have this power. So this is what we gather every Thursday to discuss and learn. Then on Sunday at 10:45 is our Sunday gathering. It starts with a beautiful meditation time, a time to center ourselves, and then we go into the lesson at 11:05. So I invite you all to be part of this class. And all the lessons, we post them to our social media platforms. We always encourage everyone to go back and listen to the lessons. You would definitely learn one or two things to help you with navigate life. So today, in our Creative Living series, we'll be talking about an important topic that sure affects everyone. So long as we have these veins and we have blood flowing through it, we go through this particular thing that we're going to discuss today. And it's not just, it's a topic that we all know, and I look forward to hearing from everyone after a brief lesson how we all dealing with this issue. Today we'll be talking about how to deal with stress creatively, how to deal with stress with an understanding of this teaching, how we'll navigate through stressful situations and still come out victorious, because that is what we are. We are what we are and who we are supposed to always be, to be victorious. So this class, I would go through some things that we already know. It will just be a reminder of things we already know about stress, a little definition and meaning of stress, and how stress affects us and how we can overcome stress and be creative I sure know this is something we already know, but this, will, like I said, is a reminder. I'm more interested later to know how we are all dealing with stress creatively, and we can learn from each other. So I researched a little and found some definition on this word stress. And it says stress is a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation or situations. In an extreme situation, life seems overwhelming and you are at the end of the rope, so to speak. Just getting by, we are struggling, we are confused, we're in a quagmire and things are all looking dark. We don't most of the time like stress, and it's uncomfortable. We wish we could avoid it, but it comes when it comes. Sometimes out of our own doing, sometimes not out of our own doing. And stress, as much as we don't like it, it's a natural human response that prompts us to address the challenges that are in our lives. So stress can be pointers that something is not adding up somewhere. Stress can be a form of resistance. Stress sometimes can be an alert. You need to check this, you need to check this, you need to check your blood pressure, you need to check something. You know, it can come in different forms. You might tend to feel bad about yourself or your circumstances when you're stressed, and it's understandable. But there is something to know. Just about everyone goes through stress to different degrees. Sometimes, even if we are faced with similar circumstances, it may stress another person, it may not stress me. We are affected by stress differently on different levels. But again, what you're trying to understand is always to know that in such situations, we also can do something with the understanding that we know that we have and the knowing of this teaching and our connection with God. So people who are in this teaching and who really practice it usually are much better in handling stress. There's something about this teaching. It's about understanding who you are connected to, and learning also that this connection to this creative energy, to this universal source, can also be a great source of help in times of stress. And our teaching suggests that we can always, anytime, go within and pull through the power that we have. It's a constant thing that is there, waiting for us to tap on it, to activate it. We can go within and realize that we are one with the creative source, and realize that through affirmation and meditation, we can quiet ourselves and know who we are in challenging situations. Realize our connection with God, our connection with Source, and know it is there, and we have access to it 24/7. It's available when we need it. There's no time, there's no off time, off period with it. It's ever available, constantly, ever present. Say help. Anytime you need it, it's there. And when we maintain this knowing, when we maintain this faith and practice it, we are constantly reminding ourselves that we are supplied and we are supported. We have everything we need for life, for godliness, for our existence. We are supported. It gets much easier dealing with unpleasant situations because of our strong commitment to seeing the upside and the good. We are undergoing stressful situation. It's inevitable. It must come. But when we understand who we are and understand this teaching, because we are always looking for the upside, That means that in situations when it's down, when things are not looking well, physically all around us, we are constantly focused on looking upside of things. We are constantly looking for the good. That's why they say something is happening, and when we know we are going through it, it's not our destination. Because we are focused on the good, we are focused on the eventual good. And we say, in this situation, only good would come. I like and I love this statement. I mean, if we can only remember these words and say it anytime we are going through a situation, in this situation, only good will come. That's all I know. You might not even have the clarity to decode how to get out of the situation, but once you keep declaring and confessing your knowing and your understanding that in every of these situations that's stressful, only good will come out of it. And that would definitely be the outcome. Because knowing, understanding, confessing, putting it into action will bring the eventual results of good. So we are committed to seeing the good in all situations. We often say, it is well. That is a prayer, that's an affirmative prayer, that's an affirmative treatment, that's a prayer of declaration, that's a prayer of faith, that it is well. Even when you are in the well, you say it is well because you know who you know, and this stress will eventually be just a phase. It's just a phase. It's passing through. And it will end in praise. And we often say it's working out for our own good and for the good of everyone. So when we have this understanding, we can handle stress much differently than before. Because, stress is unavoidable. It may be caused by our own circumstances, it may be caused by something else, but it's unavoidable. But like I said, this teaching and understanding of this teaching helps us to navigate stress and go through it with our heads up. So we can handle stress much differently than many people because we are knowing it's working out for our own good. But again, we know that we are human and we are not totally immune to it. It's not anything that we can avoid. It definitely would come. It can come anywhere, at home, at work, any situation can bring up stress. And as Reverend Greg will always say, or Dr. Barker repeatedly, we all have our moments when we forget. It's natural. We are very fallible. We can forget and forget to do some things, forget to do the right thing, forget to do things, and it creates stress. But when we understand and know who we are and the principles of this teaching, it helps us in situations that are stressful. There's another definition that I found, and it describes stress as a normal reaction to everyday pressures. When we talk about stress, whether you're reacting or not reacting, or acting or not acting, it will definitely be there. So further, it can become unhealthy stress when it upsets our day-to-day functioning. Later on this lesson, we'll find out that there is good stress. There's stress that is needed to propel us to do things quicker. But when it begins to affect our functioning, our productivity, then it calls for worry. Uncontrolled stress can impact nearly every system of the body, influencing how you feel and how you act. That's why sometimes you're stressed and you just go into the room, cover yourself, put on the air conditioner, and you want to just sleep because you feel down, you're tired, your hormones are secreted, and you can't walk, you can't do anything. It does by causing our mind and body changes. Stress contributes directly to mental and physical disorders and diseases. That's when you have chronic stress and accumulated stress over a long period. It affects so many things, body mechanisms. And it can cause you to lose joy and impact your health, obviously. This is, we don't need, the simple science would say this. Stress is a natural response to various demands and challenges. It's your body's way of reacting to a perceived threat. Perceived, sometimes it can be real. It can just be a perception in mind. It might not be real. But whichever way it comes, this is your body reacting to it. And it's stressed. When it's overwhelmed, it overwhelms your body. You come down with sicknesses. But when you ride on the stress as a stepping stone to greater things, on the basis of our knowing and this teaching, then we come out better. When we are faced with stress, your body activates the fight and flight response. It happens to everybody. Sometimes you walk into them that stress out, their hormones secretes immediately, and they're very spontaneous and do things they never thought they could do. And sometimes it could also be overwhelming, and it just keeps you dormant or not able to act. And it triggers a cascade of physiological changes. These include release of hormones, the adrenaline, cortisol. That's why some people, when they're stressed, cortisol contains a lot of glucose. You find that stressful. They say they're adding weight because of this cortisol that's released. It causes increase in heart rate. You begin to your palpitations and all that. Sometimes it raises blood pressure. There's a lot of things that stress could cause when it's chronic, if we allow it. But again, not wanting to go into all that, we are knowing that we have this power that can help us in situations like this to overcome stress. And stress can also arise from a wide range of sources, including work-related pressures, financial difficulties, relationship problems, major life events, problems coping at school, health issues, and so many things. Sometimes you do some lab work, and it comes back, and you see the results, and it gives you a lot of stress, and you're wondering, how did this happen? Or maybe a little sleep here and there, and all that. It stresses us. It puts us down. And like I said earlier, we can handle this stress differently from different perspectives. And I'm so happy and grateful that we always have this reminder of who we are and the power that we have that we can always access to help us in times of need. And we also need to understand our uniqueness and apply these unique things, access that we have, and understanding of this teaching to situations like this. While some stress might even be little beneficial and motivating in certain situations, excess of it, like I said earlier, will affect our mental well-being. Unrelenting exposure to stress will lead to a variety of health problems affecting everybody from your heart to your immune system. Another thing is that stress exposes us to many other things. If it's able to destabilize or reduce your immune system, then you're open to so many infections. And so many of that in that area. But again, we are knowing that we can do all things if only we can activate and use the power that we have. Fundamentally, this class is about understanding how we can be creative even in times of stress. So I'm going to talk about how we can flourish in spite of in stressful situation. I will also later want to know how we are doing with creativity under stressful situation. Stress blocks freedom, and we need freedom to be creative. I mean, we can't be creative if we're stressed. Stress is like a blindfold that just makes you not to see everything, the total picture. You're just very narrow sighted. And we need to be loose, relaxed to let the spirit flow. Stress will always hinder our creativity. Nobody will ever do well under stressful situation. Even if you're being creative, then you're being suboptimal because under stressful situation, because stress will always hinder the flow of the spirit. If you're always under the gun and under severe pressure, it is tough to experience your natural creativity. And we all need to feel light and free to allow these creative juices to flow. But stress can hinder it if you let it. Mark the word, if you let it. What does that signify? That you have the power to control it. It doesn't mean it's easy, and that's why we always talk about practice. Like you're practicing, you're doing mathematics. You have to practice. It doesn't mean by the flip of the hands or the fingers, you just get it done. You have to keep practicing. You do it today, it will not work out. You do it again. You do it because you know it will eventually work out. So you practice. And practice, they say, makes perfect. We keep practicing and getting better at it. We have to become mindful and develop strategies so that it does not overwhelm us. When we're overloaded, our brain doesn't work as well. We can't wander freely, dream expansively, and think out of the box. You know, I always like each time we talk about the God, the good, and being expansive, because it gives me a mindset, a view of everything is just available, and I can just go and flourish and become who I've been created to be. I like that in my mind, being expansive. But if we allow stress, it limits us. There's so much you can do if only we can go within, avoid stress, or know how to walk through stress and be creative. Stress also would cause what we call a tunnel vision, impacts on our creativity. It makes you, when you're stressed, you don't just see everything. You're narrow-sighted, your vision is just tunnel. You just see what is before you. You don't see your rear, you don't see your back because you're stressed. We already know how stress induces the fight, the freeze or flight response in our body. It makes us to be tunnel vision. That is, our brain automatically focuses only on the problem at hand, and we see only what we see, and we make a lot of mistakes. You have heard the expression, it's like a horse with blinders on. We see only a little of what there is. We don't see the rear, we don't see the side, we don't see the total picture. That's what it means. We can't even see things from multiple perspectives. That is what stress can do if we allow it. Sometimes you even see answers to what you're looking for, but because you're stressed, you walk past it, you wouldn't notice it. And there's no way anybody can be fully creative in a situation like this. There's a study I also got that talked about the impact of stress. In a 2002 2005 study, researchers used a video clip to study the relationship between stress and creativity. Very simple analogy or test here. They divided some people into two groups. They showed the war film Saving Private Ryan to the first group for the first 30 minutes. That's a war film. They showed war film to the first group of people. Then the researchers also showed Shrek, the light-hearted animation film, to the second group for another 30 minutes. Then the researchers gave participants of both groups a word association task that required the ability to think creatively. Okay, see what happened. It was found that the group that had watched Shrek performed 39% better on their task than the group that watched the more stressful war film, Saving Private Ryan. And it just buttresses the fact that stress and creativity are inversely proportional. So the higher your stress, the less creative you are. In other words, period. And I'm not just trying to talk about stress. I'm trying to tell us that it's something that is inevitable. But we also know that through this teaching, we have access to the power to help us to go through stress. Okay, a little about creativity. Creativity is a phenomenon that involves our imagination. Imagine being stressed and you're trying to poke your imagination. You probably will not be able to imagine anything. And it thrives best when we have lower levels of stress. When we feel stress, it disturbs our mental capacity. When we are overexposed to stress, our creativity reduces, sometimes even shuts down. Stress causes a mental block. If only we understand another aspect of why we're discussing this is that sometimes we are doing something and all of a sudden you don't just feel a block. You don't feel things are working well or as fast as you want it. We're also letting you know that could be stress, and we are bringing out the fact or the truth that you have the power to make things work out for you through this teaching. So when this happens, we feel that our ideas are not coming easily, as naturally as we want it, and most obviously as a result of stress. So our teaching is centered around the power of the mind and its ability to shape our reality. Everything we say emanates from the mind. While the core concept of stress remains same, our understanding of this teaching can be applied to stress, obviously. And I will just bring out a few perspectives or insights regarding stress, and I will also talk about how we can, through some of our practices, help us navigate through stress. Then, of course, I get back to everyone. We'll discuss how we have been creative even in times of stress. So first, let's think about stress as a natural response to change and stop. A natural response to change, and stop thinking of it as a totally bad thing. Like I said, everything starts with the mind. If we can calm ourselves down and know that, just like we say, in this situation, only good can come. I'm going through stress. I know it's a process, and I want to think of it as a positive thing and not a totally bad thing. So we have the ability to change our mindset, our mind disposition, what our mind is processing. It's only a thought, we say, and a thought can be changed. I'm not saying it's easy, it's a practice. It doesn't just come, like I said, with the flip of the hands or the fingers, flick of the hands. It's a practice. So if we see stress from that viewpoint, this could eventually work out for my own good. Not this could. It will eventually work out for my own good. Oh, this situation, I'm going through it now, but I'm trusting and knowing that it will work out for my own good. So we view stress as a response to change, and it helps us to understand it in a healthy way. We probably don't understand the importance of this, because if we do, and I'm not saying it's that easy to do, if a situation, we're going through a situation, and you constantly tell yourself, tell your being, I'm going through this, but I'm knowing it will work out for my own good. This is a stressful time, but my eventual destination is good. I'm supplied and supported. In it all, I will come up the head because I know who I am. I know who I'm connected with. I know who I am one with. This is very important because everything starts with the mind. We say the spiritual controls the physical. So in stressful situations, we can also begin to control it with the state of our mind, the state of our being. That is what we are trying to say here. And come to know it isn't here to harm me. Remember, there are just two aspects of it. If you let it be, it will eventually stress you out and harm you. But we know with this teaching and this understanding, we can switch it around. Did you know there is such a thing as eustress? eustress. I didn't. Eustress refers to positive stress. And it is a stress that is often experienced as exciting, invigorating, and motivating. It can arise from enjoyable experiences such as starting a new job, planning a wedding, or participating in sports. Eustress can contribute to personal development and enhance performance. It's stress, but it's the stress that propels you into action to produce. An example, you most likely will be stressed to prepare for a presentation, or there's an excitement too, but there's an excitement also in it because it's positive. But it becomes bad when it's overwhelming. I always remember maybe when you're preparing for exam or working, preparing to go for an interview, you're stressed, you have a lot of things to read, but that stress sometimes keeps you awake to read more, to study more. And those are positive stress because your body will definitely secrete the hormones and it will keep you active, it keeps you alert, keeps you sensitive. And that is the kind of stress that we want, the positive ones. Our mindset and beliefs about stress can influence how we experience and respond to it. Like I said earlier, if we begin to know that from the background that every situation is out there for my own good, if we have that mindset that out of this experience only good can come, we begin to see stress from a different viewpoint. And research suggests that also cultivating a mindset that views stress as an opportunity for growth and learning can help shift our perspective. Again, this is not saying that stress, I don't know the level of stress we're all going through, that it's easy or we're trying to make it seem like we don't face challenges. We are just trying to bring a perspective that would help us view stress as a stepping stone for greatness, help us go through stress and come out victorious. We also talk about, there was a time that we talked about reframing. We can reframe stress as an opportunity for growth. It's a case of trying to, if you know how to put things in perspective or compartmentalize things and begin to, in your mind, change the negative or stressful situation with the positive, just something close to or similar to the affirmative treatment. You know, you reframing, you're withdrawing this understanding that this is bad, this is negative, and you're knowing that it's positive, it's working out for our own good. And you can use this to transform a potentially overwhelming situation into a catalyst for personal development. There's also something that we do and talk about here often that could also help us in times of stress, and that is, we always talk about being in the present moment, being mindful. I mean, if in every situation that we find ourselves that is stressful, and we realize and know that we can be here now and concentrate on who we are, connection, and just be in the present moment, that you're human, that you're natural, that you can make mistakes, but now you just want to be here. You don't want to think about the challenge. You don't want to think about any negative thing. You just want to access the fullness of who you are, be in the present moment. That's also something that can help in situations of stress. It can help us cultivate awareness, reduce stress reactivity, and develop a healthier coping strategy. That's being in the moment. I just want to be here right now. I know Dr. Greg keep saying that if he will ever write a book, the title will be in the present moment, be here now. So it's a very important principle that we talk about here. Be here now. Be present. What's my time? Okay, I will just run through some tips to managing stress. These are things we already know. So we go into the discussion. Of course, we know meditation is something that centers us. So that's a good thing that we can do. Yoga and meditation, we practice relaxation techniques, deep breathing. You know, each time we come to meditation time, will tell us to deep breathe in. Scientifically, that breathing in does a lot of good for our total being. You take in oxygen, it permeates your cells, your brain, and when this happens, it's like healing. It soothes. It's almost like a natural sedative. You breathe in the totality of God, breathe in oxygen, breathe in life. That's something that could help in stressful situations. Of course, some put music to relax. When you're stressed, you just go and put the kind of music, meditation that you want. I came into Dr. Greg sometime, and he was listening to playing one meditation all over in the office, the apartment. I was like, what's happening here or something? He was trying to just calm himself down and remove all stressors, I'm sure. And we can take regular breaks. If you're doing something, take regular breaks. If you're reading, we say, okay, read for 45 minutes, take a break, walk around, circulate things in and around, eat healthy. You can keep daily routine. It helps the body. At this time, I do this. At this time, I do this. You eat, you sleep. There's so many things we could do. If you're having insomnia or stress sleeping, we can remove bright lights from the room, television from the room, get plenty of sleep. It's another natural healing strategy. Sleep well, sleep well. be consistent with it. Then we can connect with friends, loved ones. Interaction, it's something that helps with that. I mean, there are times where a little while ago we talk about spirit groups, all the things that we do. We are knowing also that spirit groups helps us, and these are groups of like-minded people. We could have women's group, we could have young people's group, because we're trying to create an interaction where people come and discuss distress. That's the essence also. When we opportunity to talk about things. So connect with family, friends, spend time with close ones. It helps with reducing stress. Of course, I talked about exercising regularly. It helps for circulation and reduces stress. And there's another one that Dr. Greg always talks about. Sometimes we listen to news often and we hear things that, just stress us. Could avoid that and put on things, comedy shows. Another important one, it's also affirmations. I like that too, because I just declare and say things. I'm supplied and supported. I'm blessed. I'm complete. I'm the whole bit. I lack nothing. I have an expansive mindset. I'm whole. Every hand that touches me is a healing hand. I mean, things that we hear and talk about always. In it I live and move and have my being. I lack nothing. I'm successful. Everything about me will always be good, not of bad, to give me a hope and a future. Say things that, would put you in the state of, one thing about affirmations is not just that you're saying it with the mouth, it also affects your mind, and your body again reacts to it by secreting hormones that make you happy or joyful or relaxes you. I mean, when we talk about the mind, body, thing, it's not a complex thing, it's a simple thing, but we see it. If you concentrate on bad things or negative things, you begin to see you're getting gloomy and down. But if you put something that is vibrant, positive, you just find yourself happy, like you're injected with some hormone and you're active, you're wanting to step up, you're wanting to stand. I mean, sometimes in the office, I'm going through something, you just hear some words or statements, you just stamp on your feet. Yes. And again, we talk about self-care, self-love. This is what we discuss every Thursday. I love and accept and approve of myself exactly the way I am. What you say about me does not really matter. It's what I say to myself. I look at myself in the mirror. James, I love you. I accept you. I approve of you exactly the way you are. I am created in the image and likeness of this creative intelligence. I lack nothing. I'm complete. I'm whole. Then we also talk about being grateful. Also helps us reduce stress. Then working with nature, animals, seeing things, the creatures, it also helps us reduce stress. Sometimes journaling and creative writing also helps. When you're going through stuff, you can write down things. Okay, this happened, this stressed me, write the things down. And when you're calm, you can have insights into how to handle it. Oh, in this situation, I acted this way, I should have done this way. And you learn. It's just like sports. I mean, you learn areas you made mistakes or areas that you fell short, and you're able to walk through it. So journaling is very important. And so this is the end of the lesson. So what it's all about is that we're trying to be creative. This is creative series. And we know there's things that either hinder our creativity, and stress is one of them. And we are always wanting to know how to navigate through situations like this with our understanding of this teaching. And it's such an important tool that we have It's just like you're going to work, repair a car, and you don't have the right tools. We have the right tools. What we are constantly wanting to know is how to use the tool for our own good.